just to elaborate on that bounce strategy as well. So what I'm going to teach you guys called the orb strategy, which is the open range breakout. Can you guys hear me and see my screen? All right, so basically the orb strategy, I'm just going to break it down live in full effect, right? And we could possibly find them within the what you call it, but I'm going to just cut to the point and just show you guys live, because this is what, so you guys can see the teaching moment here. So we're going to go to the chart. I'm going to bring up Facebook. So I'm going to go to the 5-minute chart. You're going to cut right into it, right into the point. So we already know what pivot points are, right? We already know what that is. So I'm going to explain to you the whole rationale between this play. So when I'm trading, right? Oh, and by the way, how was that learning the bounce strategy, by the way, with Unraveler just now? Can you guys hear me? I mean, can you guys see it? You guys can't see? All right, let me stop my screen share. Oh, you guys can? This is weird. Some people saying they can, some people saying they can't. Not sure. All right, cool. So anyways, they telling the people to restart it. So how does the orb strategy work, right? Basically, it takes the first 15 minutes. So this is the pre-market and this is the after hours, correct? So it's going to take the first 15 minutes. So let's just say you already had caught some bounces, right? So the first thing I'm looking for with orbs is how far can the stock go up? So I go to the daily chart real quick. I'm going to explain to you the whole rationale behind it. So I see that for one, it has room to go up. So that means if it breaks my line of defense, right, this thing could possibly go up. So let's say I draw a line, right, above yesterday's high, which is this one, this candle, right? And I can make it solid and I can make it white. So let's see. We're going to go back to the 5-minute chart. So now you guys see that for one, it's above yesterday's high. And on top of that, it has a lot of room to go. So that means there's room up. So you always want to check to see if there's no resistance here, because what if this was a resistance? All right, so I actually played this perfectly, by the way. So one, I see a breakout here, right? But this breakout isn't enough. But let me show you guys the so the real orb is this. So there's two orbs. There's either the 15 or the 30-minute orb, correct? So some people play the 30 minutes, some people play the 15. So we were to play the 30-minute orb, we want to, it'll probably be this one, right? So this is a 30-minute orb. So you can play this one or two ways. You can play the 15 or the 30. But I personally play both. But this is what I look for. So within the first 15 minutes, right, I'm going to mark the top and the bottom of the candle, right? So we can do that now. We can say this is the top because this is the first and this is the bottom, right? All right. So what we're looking for is a break of resistance with volume, rising volume, higher volume than this volume, right? So if we were to bring this thing over here, take this off so you guys can see the volume, right? So right here, it broke out, but not with rising volume. So I already knew that Facebook was not valid from this point. But when it made highs, when it made a resistance level right here, I was like, okay, I'll play the 30-minute orb, right? So now we're at the 30-minute orb. So there's two types of orbs, the 15 or the 30-minute. So that means you're going to mark the resistance above it. But what you're looking for is a break of resistance with volume. So right here, I noticed that it broke resistance with volume after the 30-minute. So I played a 15, but if you see a resistance After the 15, you can still play it, but make sure the volume is there and higher than previous volume. See that? See how this bar is higher than this bar. So I knew to hold Facebook. So I got in Facebook right here, and I could have took profits right here, but I was like, you know what? I'm just going to hold because right now it's holding is lines of defense. So we have our 8 EMA, and then we have our resistance right here that it previously broke. So basically, this is the resistance and it's holding, right? So you don't want to get out until it breaks below the breakout candle. So remember, I'm going to show you guys our stop loss. So we're looking for a break of resistance with volume, and we're going to use our breakout candle as our stop loss. So we can mark that red. So we will not get out of Facebook. So this is the real rules to trading. So imagine if I would have got out of Facebook right here. So remember, you do not get out of your position unless it breaks below the breakout candle. So I'll show you an orb that fell, which is typical of Roku. So boom, right? This thing broke out with volume. Don't get out because it hasn't broke below this point. And we stay in, and it's also holding the 8. So I knew to stay in. I even added here, and I made about 3 grand with just these 5 candles. I went in 50 contracts, got out right here at the top, literally got out at the top right here, right? So the orb, right, is just a 15-minute day trading strategy. So this is Aristotle's orb. I enter 15 cents above the breaker highs or lows. I watch for breakouts on the 5-minute time frame instead of the 15. I go heavier with rising volume. I go medium size with moderate volume, but it has to be rising. Don't enter at all with low volume. If so, go light. So I recommend don't entering with low volume. Stop loss will either be below the low of the first breakout candle or 15% from your entry. So this is a prime example of why I don't use 15-minute candles for the orb. I use 5 minutes because all these candles represent 15 minutes, right? And if you were to get in at the close, so the regular orb tells you to wait for a 15-minute candle to close above the first 15 minutes. And I feel like personally, you lose a lot of money doing that, waiting 15 minutes instead of 5. So we're going to transform this chart from 15 into 5 with a click of our wand. All right. So now we're at the 5-minute chart. Make sure you guys can see. All right, cool. So we're at the 5-minute chart, right? So notice how it has rising volume, right? So you're waiting for a break. So remember, this is the first 15 minutes, 1, 2, 3. And then you mark the top of it, and then you mark the bottom of it. And if you notice, that range is still valid throughout the day. Now, when you see very, very high volume, meaning significantly higher than the whole day and all that, I'm going to be honest with you guys. Breakouts like this usually lead to this thing going crazy. Now, granted, does it always lead to it? No. But what I do recommend is throwing in money every time it happens. All right. So every time you see a breakout with high volume, I recommend taking the risk every single time. You will make money, I would say 75% of the time. I say 80. You know, it depends on if the stock is stupid or the news was. Sometimes these things will break out on some hype stuff. And then 5 minutes later, it'll be like, never mind. That happens, right? But usually it doesn't, okay? So there is that rare occasion where you'll get a breakout like this, and you'll be like, oh my God, look at that volume. I'm about to go in. And you know what I'm saying? The things don't work out. You know, that happens. But 9 times out of 10, this means that this thing wants to go far. So I look at volume as if like you're a quarterback and the volume is like the power in which you throw a football. So, you know what I'm saying? Like if you throw above resistance with weak volume, it'll probably false breakout, correct? But if you throw the ball with high volume, it'll probably go far. So think of this as your favorite quarterback's arm, right? This is going to be his accuracy and his force behind the throw. And if you miss the initial top, let's just so when things go up 90 degrees, one thing I noticed is they always come back to the 8 EMA and take a bounce. So Disney broke out and gave you a perfect opportunity to add and even make more money. So the people who missed this, because I actually caught this and this. This is one of my most memorable executed trades because I also exited at the highs. It was just something about it. I was like, oh my God, I'm not about to swing this. Got out, right? But yeah, this was awesome. All right, does everyone understand the order? Put a yes if you understand. And remember, your targets is going to be your pivot points. So we used to go out. Let's see if we can find one today. Amazon did it, but like Amazon played games. So let's see what Amazon could do. And let's see if we can break this down because this thing actually went all the way to the pivot. So sometimes these things so this is the first 15 minutes. And let's see what happens when we mark that. Not really. And then we go up and then we do the 30-minute, right? So we do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, so we can do the 30-minute orb. But honestly, it's really about a resistance with some volume there, right? So let's see. Yep, there we go. So this is the point where you could trust the breakout. When you see a nice resistance, right? So right here, right, is going to play around when there's resistance breakouts. But so you see how this one didn't close above? So let's just say we would have had our first 15 minutes right here because I actually looked at Amazon all day. So this could be our top of the orb, right? Because this is 1, 2, 3. So this would be the bottom of the orb. So that's our opening range. So notice how it didn't successfully break, right? So now we have to look for another resistance. And then this one was it. But still another non-successful breakout. You see what I'm saying? And even this one, it broke out above this candle, but with low volume. You see what I'm saying? So even with this one, when it tried to break above, low volume. So remember what I said, when you have a low volume breakout above highs like that, right? So even right here, this low volume breakout isn't good enough. So that means it's probably going to false breakout. So we need another top. So we got to use that one as our top, right? And that one is a little bit more leveled than everything else, right? This one. So you want to draw your lines, right? Now, as I like to tell you guys, when you see a nice breakout of a level with some volume, so now we have rising volume. So now you can look at this one and say, okay, Amazon broke out with rising volume, and I'm not going to get out until it successfully breaks below the breakout candle. So this is how you day trade and make sure you never get out or whatnot. So we enter here, right, above highs, but we want to wait for this 5-minute close. So we would have entered here, probably been in trouble right here, thinking like, oh my God, what's about to happen? But you make sure you have your lines up, make sure this candle doesn't close above, like below this candle. So this is our stop loss. And then now we have a new level to reach, right? But we already know that this thing probably wants to go far. And if it gets above this, it's a wrap, right? So boom, this one wasn't, it still was higher volume though. So you can't really see it. Right here. Still higher though. Let me see if we can get this thing as big as possible so you can see that this thing was still higher volume than the last volume. So like you'll notice that higher volume breakouts result into better moves, as you can see. So even right here, you just want to keep making sure the next level is getting broken with higher volume every time, right? And you notice this level became So every level you want to kind of draw every single resistance point. So every top. So whether it's this top, this top, this top, you always want to keep track of the tops because as you can see, they react to them well, right? And then boom, this is the new top. Don't let it go. You know what I'm saying? So you always want to kind of level out your new tops. And then as you can see, it came down, bounced at that new top in confluence with the 21 EMA, right? So it came down and bounced at that previous top and kept going, right? So I like to look at things live in effect. Let's see if we can find out. We got one more strategy. I think Microsoft or let's see if this one did. 3. Nope. But it did. A lot of them did some weird stuff today. Here it goes. Here goes the top that it broke with resistance stuff. So you always want to kind of find that top. So this is our new resistance point. And we have some volume breakout, right? Right here. Rising volume, possible chance it can go to the next level, right? And whatever resistance point this is, whatever red line this is, must be strong, as you can see, whatever level this is that I marked. Roku was the one who did the crazy stuff. I don't even know why it's doing all that. Tesla didn't orb, but it did have some nice bounces here. I caught this bounce right here and this bounce today. So that's dope. Trying to see if we can find another example. None really, right? But we're going to teach another strategy. SQ. Yep. So SQ would be one. So SQ, we count the first 15 minutes, 1, 2, 3. Mark the top of that, right? And then boom, remember we don't, and then we can mark this one as our stop loss. So if that breakout candle was huge, you know what I'm saying, you can be in trouble with the stop loss a little bit, but that's up to your risk management. So you get in above this level and then you take profits at the pivot points. You know what I'm saying? Like it could have been as simple as that. Get in as soon as it get right here, hold your position, and you can honestly add if you want to, you know what I'm saying? And then take profits at the top. So that could be, what is that? 190 to 192. So depending on the delta and all that, rate per dollar. So let's just say it was 0.5, you know, so you make it $50 per dollar, it goes up. So you know, $100 a contract could have been this trade right here, just this simple trade, $100 a contract. So you get in 10 of those things, you got $1,000. You get in 20, you got $2,000. You know what I mean? So that's how I like to see options. Now let's go into our last strategy today, and that is the ABCD. So you guys learn Fibonacci with Unraveler, and honestly, some people use this in confluence with the ABCD, but let's go over it, right? So you have the ABCD pattern, right? A is the initial spike. B is the peak of the spike. So you never want to enter on B. And then pullback is the entry and stop loss. And then D for targets. So C entries, pull back to the 8 EMA, pull back to the VWAP. Those are my two favorites right here, right? And then pivot, and I'm going to explain all this live. And then we have pivot points, support and resistance, and re-entries above D. So let's go over it. This is Roku, and they did a good example of an ABCD. So what you're looking for is momentum and volume, at the start of the initial, so whether it's red or green. So if you got good, let's just say you got 3 candles in a row. That's my favorite setup. 3+ candles in a row. So 3 green candles in a row, almost 5. We don't want to chase this. We don't even want to try to chase this. We want to wait for Roku to pull back to the 8 EMA and then take a position, right? So whenever you see a nice little 90, 70 degree pump, right, you want to literally, so remember 90 is straight up and then 70 would probably be like right here. So this is like a 80 degrees, 70, pump, right? And you want to enter at C, not B. So avoid B, enter on C, take profits at D, but I usually take profits right here at the back at B to be safe. Or you want to trim at least. So let's just say I'm in 50 contracts. By the time I get to B, I'm in 10. You get what I'm saying? So I have exited dang near 80% of my position at B, and sometimes take all. Well, I would say 9 times out of 10, I'm taking it all at B. But I will say this, these things tend to break out. So what you could do is take profits at B, re-enter, you know what I'm saying, if it gets above highs. So never be afraid to re-enter. So that would be my target right here. So I would have got in at C, trim right here, take full profits at R3, or you could play this another way. Get in at C, take profits here, and then literally be ready to buy again instead of trying to screenshot and celebrate. You know what I'm saying? Because how many people do that? Instead of just looking at the chart some more, you screenshot, celebrate, you know what I'm saying? Then you end up missing the move. So nah, they said, oh shit. Somebody said, nah, I'm taking my profits and running. That's how you should think. So now that we have taken profits at D, D now becomes our new resistance, correct? So you can do a lot of things. This is versatile, right? You can either re-enter above D with some volume. So let's see, we can go down, and this probably was the volume, but it was higher than this one. So it really does technically count, but this one was the volume that it really needed, right? So you can either re-enter above D and then take profits at the next R4, but let's just say you missed this. Don't try to get in at highs up here. Don't try to be this guy. Try to be the pullback person. Always try to buy at dips. So that's, if you don't learn anything, and it starts over after D. So after D, top, the ABCD starts over. But instead of the 8, it usually becomes the 21 after the initial move. So in the afternoon, the 21 is where it tends to bounce, the yellow one, right? So earlier it's the 8 you need to watch for. Sometimes the 21 on rare occasions. But in the afternoon, I noticed that the 21 is the man, right? So that's the ABCD pattern, and it works the same way with bear ABCD. So I prefer straight down, but what you're looking for is that angle, really that 90-degree angle drop. Like, you know what I'm saying, that fast drop, you'll see it, right? And then you're waiting on them to come back to C, and then or the VWAP, that star thing, and short it, right? So don't try to get in at B. Don't try to do puts here, even though this was an orb, right? This could technically be an orb, but for let's just pretend all these were red, right? You get 4 red candles, you know what I'm saying, or what you call it, and you could have did the orb too. You could have bought puts here and then put a line right here and say, I'm going to literally not get out until it crossed this line. But me, I turn into, I'm about to short it right here and then take profits down here at S2. But even then, you could tell it wanted to come down because the volume was low after the first 15 minutes as well, right? And then this is just showing you another example, right? On the 5-minute chart, we got 3 green candles in a row. Boom, get in right here, get out at the top, right? Every time, A, B, C, D. All right, put a yes if you understand that, the A, B, C, D pattern. All right, all right, all right. What's my VWAP settings? I showed that in day 8. class. But yeah, we're going to open it up for questions.